Sales are easy. It's making the call that's hard. Hi, my name is Dave Gallegos. I've spent the last 25 years in the mortgage industry and a lifetime in sales. In this show, I'll bring that experience, expertise, and the experts I've met to you with actionable advice to improve your sales. It's not magic. You just make the call. Hi, everyone. All right, back for episode number 8 of Make the Call. This is a podcast for salespeople, primarily mortgage originators and real estate agents, but primarily mortgage originators. And the idea here is to share everything that I've learned after being in the business for 26 years now and 23 years owning my own company, and with about 40 years total in sales in my professional career. I know I have a lot to share. I wish somebody would have told me a lot of the things that I'm sharing here. Please don't forget to like the podcast and share them with your friends that are in the business and anybody else that you think might be able to benefit. So last week's episode, I spoke about the importance of crafting a vision. So we have we're still talking about the 7 fundamental areas of success in your business, and the 2 critical areas that are like they're the requirements as far as I'm concerned for getting a place that you want to end up. And it starts with having the most important step in this whole process is understanding your vision. So when I first got in the business, I had no vision. I just wanted to make a lot of money. And I think that's probably common for most of us. I had no vision about the kind of business that I wanted to run and what kind of life I wanted to create for myself. But that was the goal, was to just have a great business and make a lot of money. But I never crafted anything. There was never a plan. There was never a design. And so I'm not suggesting that it's important you have like a 50-page business plan. And in fact, I'm an advocate for not having a 50-page business plan. You need to get it down to 1 or 2 pages at the most. But it's really important to craft that vision. And so where does that come from? I was fortunate enough that I had invested in a lot of coaching and learning, and that's how I got exposed to those ideas. And today I brought with me, I mentioned this last time on the call, I brought with me Darren Hardy's Living Your Best Year Ever. He calls it a goal setting system. And I don't know if it's a proven system for achieving big goals is the subtitle of it. What's really impressive about it isn't just sit down and write some goals and then figure out a plan. It's more about, there's so much foundational work that goes into this. And I'm going to just hit on some of the highlights of this today because I think that all of us can benefit from that. And I know that it made a big difference for me. I'm actually, when I'm recording this, it's January, it's the middle of January, 2024. I've already lost track. And in the process of working on some goals that I've set for myself this year. And I'm actually using the system this year. And I didn't go back and do a lot of the foundational things, but I'm in the process of doing that right now. It's important to know that taking the time to do things like this, it sets the average apart from the super achievers. The super achievers do this kind of work. And one of the things that he says in here is that the 2 common traits of all the super achievers that he works with is, first of all, they have an unquenchable desire for learning and growth in their lives. They never stop learning. They never want to stop growing. And I like to think that I have that trait because I'm constantly reading new books and reading and listening and watching and going to seminars and learning. I always think I can know more. And then setting goals, being goal setters that have people that have written goals and they accomplish the most things. And so in this Living Your Best Year Ever goal setting system, the first part that he talks about, and this is all about vision, is the why is more important than the how. It's a really important quote. The why is more important than the how. In other words, why it is you want to accomplish what it is you want to accomplish is less important than how you're going to accomplish it. Because when the why is strong enough, your how is going to be, the hard part is always the how, right? But the why will get you through it. No matter how tough it gets, that's what's important. And that's what your vision will do for you. And so for me, I like to talk about when my children are young, and when they were first born, the first years of their lives, the first year of their life, usually it happened to it happened with me and all 3 of my children, where at night when they were asleep, I did this once with each one of my children, but when they were just infants, I'd go in there and I'd pick them up out of their crib And I remember doing this with my daughter, Jacqueline, who's our firstborn. But then I did it later with Donnie and with Nate a few years after that, where I just would pick them up and I'd sit down. And Lori always had a rocking chair in the kids' bedroom. I just sat there holding them and I was rocking them back and forth. And I remember just looking at them, promising them the kind of life that I knew I wanted to give them. And that vision, that why, was something that always drove me. I didn't have anything specific behind it, but I knew that that was important to me. So I knew I had that vision. I also talk about when I told Lori that I was going to marry her and spend the rest of my life with her. I made her a lot of big promises about, what a great life we were going to have together and what a great life I would try to provide for her. And so those were like the driving factors, but then, so those became my why. My family, me taking care of my family, is at the core of everything that I've tried to do with my life professionally and personally. I want to do the best that I can possibly do and be a great husband and be a great father and be a great leader. And those were all the things that mattered. So that's what the vision was. So in Darren's book, in this goal setting system, Darren talks about this foundational work that you go through in advance of setting up your goals. So here's what a powerful why will do for you. And Darren calls it discovering your indomitable inner power. So he uses an example of, this is something from his book, The Compound Effect. If you were to put a 10-inch wide, 30-foot long plank on the ground, if I were to do that and I said, will you walk across that plank for $20? You would do it. You would say, well, of course, I can just walk across the plank for $20, no big deal. But if you took that same plank and you made a rooftop bridge between 200-story buildings, that same $20 bill, walk a 30-foot plank, no longer looks desirable or even possible, right? So you're not even going to do it. It's not even a consideration. Of course, I'm not doing it. But if your child was on the opposite side of that building and that building was on fire, would you walk the length of plank to save your child? Without question, and immediately you do it, $20 or not. The $20 becomes inconsequential because your child's on the other side of that. And when the first time that you crossed the sky-high plank, you said, no way. The second time you wouldn't hesitate. The risks and the dangers are the same. What changed? It's easy to know what changed. Your why changed, right? And that's what vision does for you. Once you have that vision of what you can accomplish and why what you want to accomplish and the why, then the how becomes a non-issue. There's another example that he uses in here, and the story is that there's in these Andes mountains, two warring tribes not so peacefully coexisted. One lived in the lowlands and the other lived in the highlands, in the mountains. And one day the mountain people invaded the lowlanders and they plundered the village and they kidnapped a baby from one of the villagers. They vanished with the child and they took it up to their mountain settlement. So all the people in the village decided we got to try to figure out how we're going to get that baby back. And they started to hold meetings and they started to put councils together and talk about how they were going to get it. They were trying to map out what's the best way to get to the top because nobody had ever done that before. And the whole time they were working on it, the child's mother was nowhere around and everybody thought that was really strange. And as they were getting ready to pack up and leave to go up the mountains to find them, the woman came walking down out of the jungle with her baby. And they're like, whoa, what happened? How did you do this? We were still trying to figure out and her answer was yeah, you were doing all that. It wasn't your baby. I was going to get my baby back. Those two stories illustrate the power of a why. Once you know the why behind what you're doing, then the how becomes inconsequential and you're just going to do it. So taking the time to figure out what's really important to you is the purpose behind that vision work that you're going to need to do. So the next part in the Living Your Best Year Ever journal, there's 2 or 3 foundational pieces. You go through some work on gratitude. You go through some work on discovering your values and the things that are important to you. You do a year in review. You figure out what happened and what the year was like and what you would have liked to have gone better. And then there's a life assessment section. And the life assessment section is a really powerful area. And I'm just going to go over a couple of the highlights and share with you some of the thinking so that you can understand the value of this. So one of the first life assessment areas is relationships and family. And he asks you to rate this on a scale of 1 to 5 that you do. And the first question is, I spend at least 10 hours of focused time with my family each week. On a scale of 1 to 5, how true is that? I get together with my friends at least once a week. There is no one in my life who I haven't completely forgotten. I am actively engaged in learning how to be a better spouse, parent, and or friend. So that just gives you an idea of the kinds of things that you can think about. And it's your grade, right? It's wherever you grade yourself. The next one is the physical part of your life, your health. So I do strength training at least 3 times a week on a scale of 1 to 5. How often true is that? I do cardiovascular exercise at least 3 times a week. I do stretching and or yoga exercises at least 3 times a week. During a typical day, I watch no more than 1 hour of TV. I eat breakfast more than just coffee every day. I don't eat fast food ever. I spend time outside at least 30 minutes a day. So these are the kinds of areas, just asking you to gauge what's important to you. In business, I plan my day out the day before. My goals are written, prominently displayed, and regularly reviewed. I love what I do and I enjoy getting up every day to do my job. I am constantly improving my professional strengths and weaknesses. Just assessment, right? Financial. I have a completely detailed budget and unfailingly stick to it. I have a professionally designed and diversified financial portfolio. I am credit card debt free. I save at least 10% of my income. I have a dedicated 6-month reserve account. So those are the types of things that they're asking you, like, are you set? Are you like financial areas? Spiritual. I take at least 20 minutes each day to meditate and reflect on my life. Others who know me would consider me a spiritual person. I study my spiritual beliefs every day. There's a mental area. There's a lifestyle area. And then I'm going to hold this up. So if you're just listening, you're not going to be able to see this, but there's a wheel of life here that you can see in the where you're supposed to rate yourself. And that's what that wheel of life does, is it asks you to simply grade yourself. And what you want is a wheel that's balanced as much as possible. Now, I'm one of those people who believe that balance in life is nearly impossible. We have different seasons where we're really involved in things. So if you're launching a new business for the next 90 days, you're going to be working, your life's going to be pretty out of balance, right? You have to be careful to make sure that you invest time in the areas that are really critical. But if you're launching a business, those first 90 days are really important. But so balance is something that's not really up. I don't think it's something that you should strive for all the time. But when you're looking at a wheel like this, and when you're rating yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, if your physical health is a 10, but your finances are a 0, and then your business is like a 5, and then what it looks like is, hey, you're spending too much time in a different area, and the wheel is out of balance, and now where is this going to end up? What is the vision that you want for your life? And what this exercise does for you is the exercise takes you through the steps of knowing, okay, you actually have to think about where I want everything to be in my life as a whole. It's really important. I would highly recommend you go away and do this, like get away from all the distractions. Don't do this during work days. Get out of the office for a day, go up in the mountains, get out in nature, and just think about your life and where it is you're trying to take yourself, because this is your life we're talking about. It's been said that most people spend more time planning a vacation than they do planning their lives. I'm guilty of that. I've been guilty of that in my life, not in the last 20 years, but certainly prior to that. The difference that it can make in your life once you start to achieve these things, once you start to work on this kind of planning is really pretty dramatic. I'm going to do everything that I can to encourage people to take advantage of this. Go buy the Living Your Best Year Ever goal setting system. And if you don't have access to that, you can find a lot of this stuff online. There's different programs and processes out there. The key is to have something that's your North Star. That's what a vision is. And the old adage from the Bible, without vision, people will perish. And that's really true, is that without a vision, you don't really know where you're going. You don't really know what you stand for. You don't really know what's important to you. And things can get out of whack. And what you can find yourself, like I said in the last episode, I don't want anybody to become a really successful loan originator that's working here who becomes, a millionaire, but is divorced or has poor health or has terrible relationships with their kids or their finances are out of control. That's not winning, right? And so at the end of the day, that vision becomes everything that's truly important to you. This entire system, this Living Your Best Year Ever goal setting system, this entire system is a trackable daily, weekly, monthly review system that will make all the difference in the world to you as far as your ability to at least cast a vision and then work towards it every day. And what's really nice about his system is that he doesn't want you to come up with a half a dozen goals or 10 goals. He focuses on a maximum of 3 goals. I've heard other people in business, you only want 2 goals. A maximum of 3 goals in your life at any one time, and then doing everything that you can to work towards the achievement of those goals is what's really critical. So that's it. That's what I want to impress upon everybody. This thing about vision is, don't discount this. I think too often people look at something like this and say, I don't want to do that. I want to jump right in. But it goes back to when I first was exposed to this type of coaching and this kind of mentorship in the mortgage industry, going back to the story that I told on the previous episode about how I just wanted the business stuff, right? And the first thing they made you do is design a life plan. They used to have a process that they called the Core 4, which was first your life plan, then your business vision, then your business plan, and then time blocking around those things. Same thing here. Without a vision for your life, you're going to come into this and you're going to work. And if something goes haywire in the other areas of your life, we all know this, we all would trade all of our money for our health, right? If you lost your health, you'd give up all your money to get your health back, because you can always make more money, but you can't always get your health back. And so that's what's important, is that I don't want anybody, don't mistake the fact that success in business equates to a success in life, because it doesn't. It's about whole life success. It's about having being able to look at your life with satisfaction in all the areas and appreciation in all the areas, rather than feeling like you missed out somewhere. So that's today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. And if the Darren Hardy Living Your Best Year Ever goal setting system, I'll save a link to it so that you can download a copy of it in the show notes, and or go find it online. You can't download a copy of the program, but you can buy it. And I guarantee it's worth it. You won't be disappointed if you do the work. And that's the critical part, is that you have to do the work. So that's it today on this. Please like the episode. Please share the episode. I really appreciate it. It makes a huge difference in our rankings. And thanks again for listening, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you for listening to Make the Call with Dave Gallegos, brought to you by Zenith Home Loans. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe to the show anywhere you listen to podcasts, and share the show with a friend or colleague who would also find value.